Good evening, folks. This is Andy Pedraza with Special Effects Academy. We're on the start of the week session for August 15th of 2021. We will be going through our usual agenda. I'll look at prior week's results, our currency strength meter, fundamental announcements, major pairs on the daily charts, any setups we see in progress, and a few words in conclusion. Starting with the ledgers, the long-term ledger had a hit of about 5% on two closed trades that went against us. We were coming off about a 5% bump up, so it's been sideways. And this will happen until we catch a good wind in our sails and can ride a few trends that don't do any significant retracements. We do have open trades right now, older open trades, as you can see there on the screen, and we did open one new trade with the CAD-JPY this week. So let's just let it continue to do what it's doing. I'm pretty sure we will be catching some nice, as I said, wind in our sails pretty soon. We are in a market that is starting to trend. The intermediate term ledger was completely, well, I shouldn't say completely flat. We took a bit of profit on one trade that Euro New Zealand short before it retraced, but it was a very, very small win. We did not open any trades last week. We just continued holding the trades we already had. And that's how we're going to be starting off the week. So a reasonably flat week, a little bit of a bump up, but not much. And the short-term ledger had also, actually, this was the one that moved a little bit more, a little bit better than 1% gains. And that was on the pound Swiss trade, but again, not a big mover. And we ended the week with the pound Aussie trade still open. And this mainly because I think that pair still has movement to go. And it was negative as we ended up the week, not by a whole lot, a few dollars, but still I didn't want to take the negative when I think that pair is going to move in our direction pretty soon. Notes and opportunities for improvement. Global concerns increasing over the Delta variant. We have multiple countries going into either increased restrictions or even lockdowns in some cases. I know Australia has at least one of their territories in lockdown again as I record this. The U.S. is withdrawing from Afghanistan in an epic failure. The entire country has pretty much gone back to the Taliban. Over the weekend, the Taliban took the capital city, Kabul, and the president of Afghanistan had to jump into an airplane as quickly as he could and flee the country. So definitely not good. The U.S. has been 20 years in Afghanistan, pretty much had control over the entire country, barring a couple of mountain holdouts from the Taliban. And then President Biden decided to just withdraw and leave no support for the Afghan authorities. And well, the country fell in a week. What it took 20 years to do was undone in a single week. And again, what is an epic failure. Not sure if there's going to be any impact to the market. I mean, it's Afghanistan. I don't want to be mean, but who cares? But still, it was an incredibly expensive adventure for the U.S. with nothing to show for it at this time. So depends how the market takes it. That may come back to haunt the U.S. or not, both in the markets and out. And it was a relatively flat week in the Forex. There were a couple of currencies that were moving. The Swiss was doing a few things, the pound, the yen, but overall, no big movements, and most of them were either retraces in one direction or another, and not anything that significantly moved the needle. So a flat sideways week in general. Relative strength meter for the past week, and here we can see some of what I was talking about. We have the Australian dollar finding support. You can see that most of the squares are neutral. So the Aussie held its ground. It actually gained against the pound and lost against the Kiwi, but everything else was perfectly flat. Going from the top, the euro did well against the dollar, the pound, and the Swiss. and was neutral against pretty much everybody else except with the yen. The yen managed to beat the euro. Not a big move again, but still. The dollar going back into a slump with 4 red squares, losing against the euro, the JPY, the CAD, and the Kiwi, and holding on against the pound, the Swiss, and the Aussie. The pound was one of the main loser, losing out against everybody across the board except the dollar and the Swiss, where it was neutral. The yen was the clear winner, and as I mentioned, the yen was one of the few currencies that was actually moving with any degree of momentum, and the yen managed to beat everybody across the board except the Aussie and the Kiwi, where it was flat. No losers. The yen did not lose against any currency out there. The CAD staging a bit of a recovery against the dollar, the pound, and the Swiss, losing out only against the yen, neutral against the rest. The Swiss lost 4, lost against the euro, the yen, the CAD, and the Kiwi, was neutral with the other 3 currencies. We've already covered the Australian dollar, and last but not least, the Kiwi had a pretty good week, winning against 4 of the 7 currencies, only tying with the euro, the yen, and the CAD, beating everybody else. So again, more of the sideways week than anything else, but we can see some of the currencies jockeying about for position. We'll see if this week gives us any movement. Fundamental announcements for the week. We will have the ILO unemployment out of the UK. Between Monday night and Tuesday morning. So we will very likely be moving our Monday evening session into the wee hours. So probably plan on the evening session for Monday actually happening early Tuesday morning around 1:45 a.m. I will, of course, send that out in the email that goes out to my subscribers. We have and my apologies, it's not recorded here for whatever reason. Looks like the arrow dropped, but we also have the Reserve Bank of New Zealand interest rate decision coming out Tuesday evening at 10 p.m. So we will be moving the Tuesday evening session as well to accommodate that. And on Wednesday, we have the FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. So our afternoon session will be slightly earlier to accommodate that. And we have, sorry, the employment change out of Australia. So we will have 4 tradable events. Again, my apologies that the interest rate decision out of New Zealand is not marked on your screens, but it will be traded live. And with that, we move on into the charts. Oil is now firmly in a sideways pattern, bouncing between, I'm going to say around 66, 67, all the way up to 75 and back down and up and down. And well, that's what sideways means. So our next move on this chart, we'll be waiting for it to break out either above or below. Just remember, these sideways markets can last indefinitely. There's nothing that says that they have to last a week or a month or whatever. They can go on for a very, very long period of time. Euro dollar had a pretty bouncy week, so it dropped significantly and then came right back up, actually ending up beating the dollar, the euro beating the dollar, but that only happened on Friday. Friday, you can see that big move all the way from close to the bottom level of support to that next level of resistance. And now, well, we'll have to wait to see how the week kicks off and see if we get any directionality. So the euro beat the dollar, but still it wasn't a huge move, just recovering from what had happened earlier in the week and then gaining a little bit. With the pound, it was more even. It looks like the change is in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 pips difference from where it started out the week, and just sideways for the pound dollar. The USDJPY, also a nice recovery out of the yen on Friday. The rest of the week was going against the yen. Then Friday, it turned around with a vengeance. Very big move on Friday. USD Canadian was pretty flat for the week. USD Swiss, same as with the other dollar pairs that showed movement. We had them going in the dollar's favor all week, and then on Friday, huge turnaround coming back well below where it had started the week. So the Swiss actually gained on the dollar, but all that happened Friday. Aussie dollar flat, Kiwi dollar flat. Aussie Canadian had a significant drop throughout the week, and then on Friday pretty much undid it, ending very close to where it started the week, so sideways. The Euro Swiss was a bullish pair until Friday when it did a reversal, bringing it about halfway back to where the week had started. So it still ended up bullish, but not as much as it was looking on Thursday. The Euro Pound hitting support at the very bottom of the chart and bouncing up Thursday into Friday. Not a whole lot of movement Friday. Looks like the festivities were on Thursday, but it definitely ended up higher than where it began the week. EURUSD pretty flat, but did manage to break the support of that outer trend line on Friday. So we'll have to see which direction it moves as the week kicks off. Euro Canadian dropping early in the week and then staging a recovery the final half Wednesday into Friday, ending pretty much where it began the week. So ultimately sideways, but a bouncy ride. Pound JPY also more sideways than anything else, and it is trapped inside a sideways band, but it did end up slightly lower than where it started out, the yen beating the pound by a small amount as the week ended. Bigger movements for Thursday and Friday. Aussie JPY flat at support and ultimately a sideways week. Euro New Zealand breaking support and then on Friday testing that as resistance. It looks like the euro was not having a good week across the board, except perhaps towards the end against the dollar. And while this was more of a sideways mover, it is interesting that that support was finally broken. So we'll be keeping an eye on this pair. Pound Canadian, the CAD gaining against the pound all week. And then on Friday, a half-hearted recovery about halfway back to where it started. So the CAD did end up beating the pound, no matter how you look at it. But again, not a big movement. Pound Swiss trapped in a sideways channel, hitting the top of the channel on Tuesday, Wednesday, and bouncing off of that for the remainder of the week, ending pretty close to where it started. So again, sideways, bumpy ride. And last but not least, the Pound Aussie, and we do have trades open on the Pound Aussie on all three accounts, trying to trade it up. It is ending the week pretty much where we got into this trade. So I think we were down maybe 15, 20 pips on these trades. And we're waiting to see what the new week gives us. It's still looking very, very bullish from where I'm standing. That is our chart. Setups we see in progress. The pound maintaining strength, so I still think we're in for some bullish movement, but it has been very slow going. So again, as I said earlier, we are waiting for some trends to kick in and take us into the stratosphere, but it's slow going, and this week was very slow. Dollar pairs, the USD facing failure in Afghanistan on an FOMC week. We do have the FOMC minutes coming out on Wednesday, so I'm sure both things will be under consideration. And as of now, it's looking like the dollar is still slumping. But again, the market will do whatever the market is going to do. We do not control it. We're just here for the ride. The Australian is finding support, as we saw on the relative strength meter as well as the charts. It didn't gain anything, but it didn't lose a whole lot either, more sideways than anything else. The Swiss also finding support after a very dismal week, the previous one. This week that just ended, the Swiss managed to gain against a couple of other currencies out there and at least not lose against the rest. So finding support. And the Canadian is still a coin toss. I'm a firm believer in sustained Canadian strength, but it doesn't have to happen right now. And it doesn't have to be a very strong movement. I just think that the Canadian is in a very enviable position right now for many different reasons. So we'll be keeping a close eye on the Canadian pairs. And I have to say the future of the CAD is uncertain because it is. But I see a lot of indicators of Canadian strength for the near and medium term. And that is it, other than my final words in conclusion here. And I decided I always pick a topic based on some question or comment somebody's made throughout the week. And this time it is technology and bright, shiny objects. I'm always getting people asking me how many screens they have to have in their trading room at the same time so they can watch, I don't know, 5, 10 charts at once. Because we've all seen these pictures of Wall Street and the New York Stock Exchange and traders where they have 20 different screens surrounding them. Looks like something out of the Matrix or whatever, with everybody staring at multiple screens surrounding them, all with different squiggly charts. And apparently this is supposed to give you some magic, abilities to trade the market. That's just not true. So I get those questions. How many screens do I need? How great a computer do they need to have? Does it have to be military grade? Does it have to run an infinite loop in less than a second? That's a joke for those of you who are in IT. For the rest of you, don't worry, it's funny to us. And not to mention whether that $20,000 charting and testing package is a must-have, which is usually $20,000 a year subscription, or do I need a Bloomberg terminal, which is also like $20,000 a year? You don't need any of that. If it makes you happy and your trading profits are paying for it, go crazy and buy whatever is going to rock your boat. Me, I prefer to buy myself a trip to Japan or whatever. But if you want to have the best computer and the 20 screens and the subscription charting software, and you have the money for it because your trading is providing that money, knock yourself out. Don't let anybody stop you from being happy. But do you need any of that? No, you don't. You can, and I do, trade on my iPhone or Android if that's what you use. You have MetaTrader on your phone, and you can perfectly, without any problem, take trades. You can look at charts. You can be listening to the fundamental announcement. You can do everything on an iPhone these days. Anything else is almost always for convenience and maybe for a little bit of bragging rights. If I'm showing somebody my operation and I want to pretend I'm this big Wall Street guy, you know, it's going to be fun if I can show them the 20 screen setup and that the software I'm using is $100,000 a year or whatever, and nobody else has it. And I don't need to do that because I'm not trying to sell anything or make money off of selling stuff. I shouldn't say I'm not trying to sell anything. You know, I do sell my courses and subscriptions and all that. That's not where I make my money. I make my money trading. So I really don't care. I don't need to pretend I'm what I'm not, or show people how fancy you need to get in order to break even or squeeze a few bucks out of the market. If you look at these famous magicians like Penn and Teller, or whatever the other guy's name is, David Copperfield, they do their magic tricks. And if you dig deep enough, especially Penn and Teller, who will actually show you how they do their tricks are the simplest things in the world. It's either always very simple sleight of hand, misdirection, make you look over there while they do something over here. The trick itself is the simplest thing in the world. When it's not sleight of hand, it's usually some device that they've invented for the trick itself, which again is not a complicated device. They put it together and they just reuse it a million different times. If they did the trick just with the sleight of hand or with the device, especially if they show you the device, it would be boring. It wouldn't look like a great magic trick. So they dress it up. You have the half-naked assistant, you have all the smoke bombs and flashes of light and music and drum rolls and the magician jumping around and pretending he's going to die and then whatnot, all while doing a trick that they could have done in half a second right under your nose. But that's show business. The magic tricks are supposed to be simple. Great magicians add flair to spice things up. We as traders do not need to be great magicians. We do not need to add the flair. We just need to have the trick work. So I would recommend that you not spend your money on these bright, shiny objects. You don't need them. By all means, have a computer. Doing your charts on a decently sized screen is, of course, much simpler than doing them on an iPhone. And again, I said that most everything else that you're going to need is for convenience. It is convenient to chart on a computer. You will have that better visibility of the chart and the trends and whatnot. Everything other than that, I mean, MetaTrader's free. You don't need special software. You don't need the 20 screens, just you and a computer. And in a pinch, it's going to be you and an iPhone. So I hope that helps if anybody was on the fence about what all they needed to buy to be a successful trader. And that's going to be it for me this weekend. Again, we're going to be having our evening session tomorrow, Monday, actually happening very early in the wee hours of Tuesday morning for those of you who are subscribers, and I will send it out in the email that will be going out at some point. And that's going to be it for me this session. We'll be back again early Tuesday morning. Comments or questions from anyone? Okay, folks, thank you very much. Then that is a wrap, and we will be back, as I said, early Tuesday morning. Of course, if you're not a subscriber, then we will be back on Sunday. Have a good one. Bye-bye.